It's time for the press to get serious about the Bernie Sanders phenomenon. Yes, we've had a lot of fun with it. Bernie, 74-year-old socialist, Vermont senator. Of course, he's not going to win the nomination, but hey, look at those big crowds he is drawing. Hey, he just raised $26 million in the third quarter, almost as much as Hillary Clinton. So Bernie-mentum and all these headlines about feeling the burn. You know, the general view about the pundits is that Sanders is an interesting character. He's tapping into some anger in the Democratic base, but we all know he's not going to win the nomination, and he would get absolutely clobbered in a general election. But what if that's not true? Looking at some new numbers in an NBC Wall Street Journal poll, these are hypothetical matchups in the fall of 2016. Bernie Sanders in Iowa beats Donald Trump. And Hillary Clinton, she loses to Donald Trump in Iowa. She loses to Jeb Bush. She loses to Carly Fiorina. Move over to New Hampshire in this same poll. Bernie Sanders beats Trump by 10 points, according to this survey. Beats Carly Fiorina and is tied with Jeb Bush. As for Hillary, she beats Trump by a much smaller margin. She loses to Jeb. She loses to Carly. Now, obviously, it's early, and obviously a lot would happen if Sanders actually got that far. For one thing, the reason I don't think the press has taken him all that seriously, because of some of the factors that I mentioned, is you don't see a real drilling down on his positions. Gee, would Americans really go for a single-payer health care system like Medicare? Would they really go for higher taxes on the rich? Does the constant attacks on Wall Street and the big banks appeal to a broader cross-section of the country than just the liberal Democratic base? But you have to admit at this point that Bernie Sanders is tapping into the same kind of anger and disgust at politics and usual here in Washington as Donald Trump is on the Republican side. They're very different people, obviously. They have very different platforms. But here's Trump going after the hedge fund managers. They should pay more in taxes. That is pretty much along the lines of what Bernie Sanders is doing as well. So I think it is time, and of course one more factor here, which is Joe Biden. He's making some noises that he may make a decision in the next month. If he gets in, does he draw more votes from Bernie Sanders and therefore helps Hillary, or does he become more of a spoiler who helps Hillary win the nomination because he hurts Sanders more than he hurts Hillary? We don't really know the answer to that question. But I think finally it is time now for the press to forget the skepticism, to look at Sanders as a genuine candidate for the Democratic nomination, one who is running better than Hillary Clinton in some of these trial heats against the Republicans, and to give him the kind of scrutiny over his programs and the things that he is running on, rather than just say, well, you know, he's another Howard Dean, he'll fade when the voting starts, another guy from Vermont. Look, it's unlikely that a 74-year-old socialist is going to win the Democratic nomination, but something is going on out there with the crowds and the response and the 650,000 donors giving Bernie Sanders money, and it's time that we started grappling with it a bit more seriously.